builders. Today I want to share with you one of the spiritual forces that generates prosperity. All of our lessons offer spiritual principles of prosperity that when applied, and that's a key word, applied by you, when applied by you, they activate spiritual laws that work with all the power of spirit to produce abundance in you, through you, and for you. So let's be clear as we begin today. To be prosperous, you don't need freedom from the forces of lack. What you do need is an understanding of the forces that generate prosperity. And the forces that generate prosperity are both mental and spiritual. And so by deliberate ways of thinking and being and living, you can assimilate prosperity into your consciousness and just as quickly begin to have it in your life. So I want to begin today with a story that beautifully illustrates the spiritual force of generosity. I was the leader of the teen group at our church, and one Sunday the kids decided to host a bake sale to raise some money. And how we do bake sales is we invite the spiritual community, the congregation, to bake their best cookies and pies and cakes, and then to donate them to us. And then we sell them back to different people in the community on a love offering basis or a free will donation. It's a wonderful process because it sets up a consciousness of giving and receiving, and everyone who participates, the bakers, the buyers, and the kids, all give and serve and love and have fun. Now the baked goods are sold in two ways. We either sell a whole cake and a whole pie, or we cut up a cake or a pie and sell individual servings. And before the service begins, everybody comes in and drops off all of their donations, and then we get them ready. Well, one woman came in and she dropped off this award-winning French silk pie. It wasn't a little 8-inch or 10-inch pie plate. It was one of those great big 12-inch pies piled high with whipped cream and chocolate sprinkles on top. It looked fabulous. And the kids were really happy because we knew it was going to be a bestseller and raise a lot of money. But on this particular Sunday, just before the final song was finished, the door to the sanctuary flew open, and this woman came running toward the table. She swooped down and grabbed that French silk pie. She threw $1 in the donation basket and bolted out the door. And the kids and I were standing there, stunned, just stunned. A few minutes later after the service, another woman came out. She picked up one brownie off the table, put it on a napkin, ate it, while she walked around and talked to the kids, encouraged the kids, affirmed the kids, blessed the kids, and thanked them, and very gently tucked a check for $100 into the donation basket. So let me ask you, what attitudes of consciousness were strengthened that day? Two women participated in the bake sale. One gave $1 for a very expensive pie. The other one gave $100 and ate one brownie. The first woman scooped up the pie, threw $1 in the basket, raced off. She didn't stop to speak to the kids. She didn't thank the kids. I don't even remember her looking at us or smiling at us. So there was this swooping, grabbing, hurried, clutching consciousness. The second woman was gracious and generous. She walked slowly, praised the kids, thanked them, even hugged them, and gently tucked her check into the donation basket. So we see a praising, engaging, thanking, sharing, generous consciousness. So which consciousness do you think is going to generate increase? Which consciousness is going to strengthen scarcity and lack? The two women in the story are nameless because those behaviors are universal in us. One person lives from, I have to get mine before someone else does. There's not enough to go around. I got to get there first. I got to leave before the song's over. I got to get there first. I got to grab it while I can. And the other one lives from plenty to spare and to share. And what's interesting about this process is not the amount of money that either one gave, because we don't know their financial status. But what's interesting is the way each one entered into the experience, isn't it? Ask yourself, when you handle your money, is your thought, gee, I got a real deal on this, I practically stole it? Or is your consciousness, what a tremendous value I received for this beautiful item? Are you a giver or are you a taker? Do you add something to an experience, or do you look for ways to get something for nothing? Look carefully, because either you're growing a consciousness of scarcity and lack or a consciousness of plenty. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, starting in verse 38, Jesus says, "Give and it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, it'll be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure that you get back." And as he observed the merchants in his marketplace, he noticed that the merchants that were selling grain that took the measuring cup and scooped up the grain and fluffed it up, and then kind of in a fast-handed way scooped not a full measure, dumped it in the customer's bag and handed it to him and charged a full measure. He said he noticed those merchants, but then he noticed the merchants that scooped up the grain, tapped it down, added more in, packed it tighter, put some more till it was spilling over, and then charged a full measure for the same amount of grain. Jesus pointed out that the most prosperous merchants were the ones who gave freely and generously. Your life and everything in it is an outpicturing of your consciousness. A grasping consciousness is a constricting energy that will diminish your prosperity, and you'll find you may have to scrimp and scrape to get by your whole life. If you practice living in richness and generosity, you'll create good and more good, and you'll find that you just simply cannot outgive God. So this week I invite you to find ways to practice the spiritual force of generosity. I was with a friend one time, and he pulled out a stick of gum, and it was the last stick in the pack when we still had packs of gum, and he, without thinking, tore that stick of gum in half and immediately offered me half. That's the impulse of generosity that you want to create in your consciousness. If you've got 25 items in line at the checkout store at the grocery and the person behind you has 3, let them go in front of you, no matter how much of a hurry you're in. You know, if you go to the store and you buy some peaches, get some extra ones and take them into the break room at work. You see, get in the habit, get in the spiritual force, really, of extending your time, your energy, and your love and your money to do good. It will prosper you. Until next time, I'm Cherie Larkin, seeing you